phones off.
Phones are off. Check.
Check, okay.
You get it for 3 hours.
I hope we don't go that long. Good afternoon. I'd like to open the December 11th, 2023 Harwich Affordable Trust meeting. And so that's our call to order. We have a busy schedule today, but I want to start with a review of the action plan with Jen Golson on our call. Hi, Jen. Because Jen has limited time this morning, and I'm hoping we can finalize this. We've had draft for some time, and I think we're almost there. I have a few comments which are not very substantial, but when we get to those, I can. Jen, you want to start this discussion, and we'll go from there?
Sure, yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for letting me call in again. As you can see, I'm on the road today, pulled over at a rest stop, so I appreciate you taking me first here. Yeah, we've been in the kind of the final revisions of the action plan. We did get a few comments, I think from Bob, maybe from Larry too, and we did submit to you documentation of how we responded to each of those comments. We also provided the editable version. Our work at this point, this is the last meeting in our scope of work, and we've prepared several rounds of revisions. So we always like to leave our clients with the editable version in case anything else comes up that you want to tweak, or if there's something in there that you want to clarify, alter about the budget or the year one plan as you go. Certainly things will change in your year one. We started our year one plan in November, and it's already December, so you may want to just change that up to a December start. But the plan is yours to change as you'd like. We gave you both the clean PDF and then also the editable Word version, as well as the list of final comments that we did receive and how we responded to each. Primarily, they were around clarity, and so we went through and clarified several aspects of the plan. I think mostly they were Bob's comments, so thank you, Bob, again for your diligence. And I'm happy to take questions or go through any pieces of it if you'd like. But I know you've seen it several times, and I was hoping that you'd approve it today, but I'll leave that to you all.
Thank you, Jen. I'll start, get it going, because I do hope we could, my changes. The first important one is I'd ask you to spell my name with correctly as A-N, not E-N.
Ah, okay.
It's like the Scotch. It's important to know that, I guess. But when I get into the introduction, if you will, Jen, and I've marked up the word with some edits on that. I can send to you if see what the other comments are. But the second paragraph of the introduction, where it says community housing as defined in accordance with provisions of MHGL and so on, may come from the community preservation. I think we should broaden that, because that sentence sort of leads into how we're funding the trust, and we're actually funding the trust in several different ways. One, of course, is from the CPC committee, but we also have cell tower funds going into that, as we see in the financial sheet. We did approve a town meeting 2021 to take 25% of the short-term rental tax into the Affordable Trust Fund as well. And I would also like to leave that open-ended for possible donations. So in my mind, that is a good sense, but it kind of relies solely on CPC decisions. I thought we should include the other possible, or the other funding sources. Anyone else? Go ahead. And I do have then, this is really, this is irritating, Jen, but, Massachusetts changed the name of the DHCD on us, and so we probably should correct that to this overly burdensome title now, the Executive Office of Housing and livable communities. They couldn't have made it more complicated if they had tried. But, and those are really my comments. And that won't change our, I don't think if there's agreement, that doesn't change our approval. We can approve it with, if people agree to that, we can approve it, with those changes in mind. I'll start with Claudia, you.
I don't have anything else. That sounds good to me.
Bob?
Just one clarification. I thought what Jen started with was you now have the final draft and you make whatever changes you want. But you're talking to Jen as if she's going to be making the changes.
Well, we could make the changes as well.
Okay.
That'd be fine.
Okay.
I've already made them on my copy. I can finalize it and send that out. Okay?
Is that a correct understanding, Jen?
Yes, we've left you with the editable version
That's
that
what I
you're
thought.
welcome to
Okay.
adjust now with Larry's comments and any other, but also in the future, if you want to update the plan or something changes and you'd like to
Okay.
update it, you do have that editable version.
Okay. So if we can vote on that, Bob, you're right, then I can finalize it and send it to you
Okay.
with those. Anything else?
The only thing that stood out to me was, and this is a surprise, page 18, the criteria for evaluation of funding requests. Seems like that's just kind of thrown in here. Is that?
Yeah, I'm scanning down to that page now. Yeah, we had included that to help you with your funding application, which we think you've actually completed at this point. But depending on where you stand with that, you may or may not need those. They may or may not be relevant anymore.
Okay, that was my impression also. I just don't always trust my impression.
Okay. Brendan?
I'm good. You actually covered it with that.
Okay.
That's what you changed.
I just have, I look at my notes, I just have one other correction, or update, not a correction, is to update I forget what paragraphs now, but the revenue expenses sheet we have in there to September of this year. I think the one that's in the present copy is in March of this year. And so I
Yeah,
thought-
the latest balance sheet that I had was March 2022.
And I have one for
Um,
September, so I
And
can,
so having a newer one would be helpful.
I'll update that as well.
Okay.
So if there's agreement, what I can do is I can make those changes and send them as a final copy if you vote to approval with those,
Yeah.
those suggestions. I mean,
Yep.
these are mine. I know, Bob, you made extensive comments before. Those all already been incorporated.
Yep.
I'll take a motion
Yeah, I
then.
was going to say, do we need, I make a motion that we accept the action plan with the changes we discussed today.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hopefully, we
Yeah.
discussed this. Thank you, Jen. So we'll finalize
Yeah,
this
thank
and
you.
that'll give us we can put this on our website and then we'll
That's
keep it as a
wonderful.
living,
And please do keep in touch. I always love to hear how things are turning out and, happy to hear from you at any time. So good luck with everything.
okay.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
for your responsiveness, Jen. Very much appreciated.
Of course, Bob. Thank you, everyone. It was so nice to work with you again.
Enjoy the truck stop or wherever you are.
Yes, I'm at a rest stop in Ludlow. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye now.
Bye.
Next on the agenda is Cindy Williams from our Executive Director of the Harwich Chamber of Commerce. And this is an extremely busy time of year for Cindy, getting ready for the Christmas the holiday season. So I appreciate very much just having a discussion of what we're about and your interest in housing, I guess.
Well, great. Thanks, Larry, for inviting me here. Sorry I couldn't come the last time, but we had a lot happening. Basically, as we all know, and we've done a number of these educational sessions on housing, the workforce that we speak of is year-round workforce. And you'll hear, I believe, from the fire later, but these are your police, fire, health service industries, nurses, and such, that people don't normally think are looking for housing and the teachers. So we do constantly need to look at that as well when we think of year-round housing needs. Certainly, I just spoke with Brianna a little bit ago, and we're going to get back to offering some of those educational sessions that we were doing on housing, because I think people forget and maybe automatically think, well, I don't want it right next to me. What we need to remember is the people that we're looking to help find housing is our children, grandchildren that have grown up here, now are at that age of being able to, wanting to live here, work here, and give back to their community. So just reminding everyone that these are the people. We're not looking to make Harwich the inner city. It won't be that. But we are looking to help the people that do need that year-round housing. And they work in the healthcare. Larry and I are fortunate to sit on the Outer Cape Health Services Board. And we're constantly hearing of the need for some of those staff members that are looking to join the team. So I really think you'll see more of me as we hear of more people, but certainly please let me know how I as a chamber can help too with this. Certainly always looking to see a project that we can get the shovel in the ground sooner than later happen, but I don't know that I can add that to my agenda. Certainly it can help, but certainly I'm more than happy to help with this. It's very important to our town and community. So questions for me?
Questions, comments? Bob, you look like you're ready to speak.
Cindy, thank you for being here. There's no time in the year that isn't a busy time for
Thank
you.
you.
So I just wanna get
It's
that
not
on
just
the record.
July and August.
My thinking was when we wanted to invite you here, that we need as many partnerships as we can have and develop and build over time to move this issue of affordable housing forward.
Right.
My impression is that the business community in Harwich relies heavily on the seasonal influx and seasonal rentals that bring in a lot of tourist dollars.
So yes, but we also have many businesses that are year-round and organizations that are year-round that need that year-round to continue the community to grow on that piece as well. Outer Cape is just one of the big entities that we have in town that are year-round. The school system, there's so many, but yes, the business, when you think business, automatically it goes right to Harwich Port and our restaurants and hotels. And yes, they do rely on the seasonal workforce for that. So, yep.
Is there any estimate of dollar figures that relate to the seasonal rental business? And
I can certainly get that from the hotel piece. When you throw in, and this is one of those anomalies, and maybe some of our partners in the room that know the real estate entity better than I may be able to answer that. But that short-term rental and that piece, we still are looking to rein that in and get who really is doing it and such. But there's a lot out there that takes care of that seasonal market.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Cindy. I'm sure we'll be in touch because outreach is really critical for us. I know Brianna's been working on some other outreaches, and I see Liz as well working on outreach, because it seems we never are able to convince people of the housing issue on the Cape in a believable way. So any help we can do, it will be very grateful. We work together on that. It'd be great.
Absolutely.
You all have my number. I know I have to get to the mic, but you know how to reach me. We're here.
Okay. Thank you. And we do know how to reach you, Cindy, just for,
Well, you're always in the same seat, so you're easy to find.
Liz, please.
Hi, Elizabeth Harwich, speaking as your delegate to Barnstable County Assembly of Delegates. The county just approved hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Chamber of Commerce, Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce, to set up a housing group with the director to address the problems of not just seasonal workers, but year-round workers. And I was planning on meeting with Cindy after Christmas to let her know this, but, so I'm. You were, okay, good. So just so you know, there will be an overall regional approach to getting the businesses involved in the housing market, because they need to, that's what they need to do now. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. And let me follow Liz. Thank you again for that comment. Aaron Perry, who's the Assistant Director of the Cape Cod Commission, actually watched our meeting last month, which surprised me. I'll have to be more polite if everyone's going to watch us on the video. But she did contact me afterwards and offered to give us an update. We had a discussion, remember, on 40B last time and some issues, to give us an update from the Cape Cod Commission. She couldn't make it today, which is good because we've got a full schedule anyway. But she will join us our next meeting and give us an update of the Cape Cod Commission's work. And I think what Liz is referring to as well is that they will have a plan that should be at least in the final draft stage at that point. And that answers some of Bob, your concern is what were they doing for the Cape Cod Commission. So Erin has said she'll join us next meeting so that we can add that to our education going forward. Next on the agenda is the, I need to get the address right. 0 Town Way, is that what we're calling this now?
Yeah, where'd that come from?
It's an artifact. Yeah.
Richard, what's the correct address for the Marceline property?
I'll get you the exact one.
So we have in our minutes correctly. We've gone back and forth, and I don't learn quickly. I'm used to the other term.
Carry on, I'll get it for you.
Carry on. Thank you. We're well enough. We have Laura Schofield joining us today to talk about the draft RFP we've been working on, and seeing Cohort recently did due diligence as well on the site. Can you give us an update of where we are?
Sure. I apologize for not having an updated request for proposals for you. While I was on vacation 2 weeks ago, we had a file management switch, and a few files got corrupted, and it was one of
No.
yours.
Oh,
So I thought I would have it by now, but I'm going to have to just start over, so, which is fine. It just didn't make it for this meeting, so I apologize. So we did have the site visit and the due diligence report that I think you all have.
Right.
I think there's a couple of decisions that have to be made based on the due diligence report. The parcels are split with Bassett's Lane that goes right down the middle, which is a public way. And so to use the land that's, looking at it, I'll say left instead of saying north or south, but I believe it's north, of that, you'd have to get an easement across Bassett Lane to get access on Queen Anne Road. That's not an impossibility, it just is a fact that you would need to get an easement from the town to do that.
So, excuse me, Laura, just to refresh everyone's memory now,
Yeah.
Bassett Lane's in fact a paper road.
It's a paper road, but it is a public way.
It's a public way, but it's not utilized now
It's,
for the public.
it may or may not be. It is traveled.
Okay,
It is distinct on the ground.
okay.
And it is, on paper, it's 22 feet wide.
Yeah.
Walking it, it's just tracks, it's not that wide, but it is 22 feet wide. The town can do a number of things. They can eliminate it from wherever to wherever, or they could just grant an easement. And that's to utilize the land that is the least wooded on the site. It's more of a meadow, kind of, with a few trees. On the other side, the Queen Anne side of Bassett's Lane, it's more heavily wooded, but it has some more accessible access. To access on 124, except for the little piece that's right across from the park and ride, which is how we access the site, you'd need a curb cut from the State Department of Transportation, which could be difficult to get because of its proximity to the exits. They may have a, right turn only or something like that requirement. So it could be used for an emergency exit, but for a main entrance, it probably is not optimal. It may be difficult to get. Those are steps a developer can go through. We can, have a couple of conversations with DOT to see their thinking. So it seems like the main entrance would be on Queen Anne. It is typically, expensive to have long driveways. So to get from Queen Anne across Bassett Lane over to the other parcel could be expensive. But because it is a public way, it also means that both of those sites are developable separately or together if you wanted to put it together. So I guess the decisions are, where do you want the development? We have to kind of designate, we can say the whole site and see what a developer comes in with in one development, or you can say we only want it on, this side of Bassett Lane or that side of Bassett Lane. Those are the two options. And the size development that we've been talking about, which is, the maximum of 90 bedrooms, which is a Title V requirement, which usually comes out to about 45 units based on, how many bedrooms there are in each unit, but that's typically, there has to be 10% 3 bedrooms, and then there's usually 25% 1 bedroom, sometimes a little bit more than that, depending on what your need is, and the rest are 2 bedrooms. So that kind of comes out to, 45 to 50 units if you do more 1 bedrooms, and you want to maximize the 90 bedrooms. So you could do that on either or both sites if you, only leased half the land the first time you go out. Recognizing that piece that's behind the entrance on 124, would have to have an easement to get out to, unless you went down Bassett Lane, which, develop Bassett Lane, which I'm not sure it's an option. I'm not sure it's the best option, but it's an option. What else?
So, can I ask a question?
Sure, please, yeah.
So are we deciding whether or not to do an RFP for the total project, knowing that we could increase it, do 90-bedroom projects? Or if we're deciding that we're gonna choose one, just because one side may be less tricky? So, and start with that, knowing that we'd have to create some other inroads or, more investment for the other side that's closer to 124. Is that, I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
Yeah, that's really what
Okay,
we're looking at.
Okay.
And, you could do the one that's closer to Queen Anne and incorporate an easement already. Or you could say that's, we only want one development, and the developer can choose which side to put it on, or how they're gonna develop the whole piece. Or you could save some of it for future development, with an easement already there so that they could get out to Queen Anne.
Excuse me. So, Bob, go ahead.
So one of the next steps would be to have some conceptual designs. We talked about that, right?
So we could have some designs of sightings, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one thought that I had was if we located the primary development of 45 units on the north side of Bassett's Lane, which would be closer to Route 6, that could potentially allow for the development of some Habitat for Humanity lots on the lower section, and also on the section that's adjacent and separated from the main northern section.
I'll
I
just,
think Laura was saying opposite that.
Yeah,
I was thinking the opposite of that.
Yeah,
just because accessibility is easier on the other side.
yeah, on the southern
On
side.
the Queen Anne side.
Right.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and I would say, home ownership units as, versus naming a, potential developer, because,
Sure,
it's a open and fair
yep,
process.
yep, thank you. So that would be one possible conceptual plan
Right,
that
that,
you could bring forward for us.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And, yeah, that's definitely, yeah, we could definitely do that.
Because I personally am inclined toward that sort of a mix in terms of development, that
Mix being
a mix of the rental,
in home
and the
ownership. if
ownership.
We can do it.
yep,
Now that we have two
Yeah, we can
sides
do
to
that, that's what
play
you're
with.
saying. That's possible to do that,
That's possible to do that. There's,
because I like it as well, but I don't know. It's
Yeah.
Well, it's all complicated, so go
It's-
ahead.
what
yes,
isn't?
housing is complicated. There is a relatively new zoning overlay district law in Massachusetts called 40Y, because we need more chapter 40 somethings. That, that if the town approved for whatever sections you're talking about for home ownership, it would allow a density that would be reasonable for home ownership. And when the town, if the town approved the overlay district, they would get so much, a dollar amount per unit that could be then built under it. And then for every building permit, there'd be another cash contribution to the town, similar to what 40R does, but you might not know that. So this is what 40Y does for home ownership. And, excuse me, I believe that the units that are built under that, I think it goes up to 150% of AMI. So you could do, it starts from, I think, 65 to 150. So you could do a nice range of incomes and the kinds of homes that aren't being built right now, you know, starter homes. So that's kind of what it's called, starter home 40Y.
Yep, okay,
That would be, I mean, that's down the road, but we could certainly look at when we do the concepts of using the density that is, so you can see what it looks like if that were to be utilized.
one more
Go ahead,
question.
go ahead.
I didn't see anything in the due diligence memo that spoke to the sensitivity of the 6 ponds question. And I wonder if, that's an area of special planning consideration. And it seems from the memo that there's no conflict between the potential of development and the 6 ponds.
I'll go back and have the engineers specifically look at that.
Okay.
I believe they did, but they didn't address it.
Okay.
So, in the due diligence, but I'll have them go back and look at that, just
Okay.
to
Thank
cross
you.
Ts and dot Is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Brendan?
Yeah, I just think we need to be careful with the lower parcel.
that seems like the easiest one to develop because of egress and getting out.
Yeah.
But if we were to do that, then it seems like we're trapping the northern part if we don't have access through Bassett to Oak Street. So it seems like that would be, to not have that develop at the same time, we might get trapped with that parcel, especially if we can only take a right-hand turn at the gate. So if we're limited to that, we would need another access point, or you're saying we would do an easement right through the lower part, so you're taking more land to do that.
So extending whatever driveway is
How wide would that have to be roughly? Do you know like how wide that would have to be?
18, I believe,
18?
yeah. Could probably get, because it could be considered a driveway, you could get it a little narrower, but then it gets a little tough to get trucks in and whatever,
Right,
so,
exactly, so it wouldn't really
so-
be a deal.
you know. And we would certainly talk to the people sitting behind me about what they would need to get into that section, because
Yeah.
even with an emergency exit where, like where we came in across from the park and ride, that would be the easiest for the fire department to come in than to come from Queen Anne.
Right, exactly.
But you'd still want it, in case you'd want two that were acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Bob, to your point, you could do the easement, keep the lower part, the open space, and keep all the housing up top, but either way, I think it'd be up to the developer, but if you could do a basic site plan for us to visualize, that'd be great.
Sure, I will do that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Laura, timing-wise, you're suggesting that we should move ahead and try to get an easement on Bassett Lane as, now? Or do we wait for
Let's look at,
wait for the conceptual design to see what it looks like?
yeah, I think you wait for the conceptual design, and that, the easement doesn't really come in until
Till we get a
the
design.
developer has a design, and then you can extend their road coming in.
So having that would not prevent us from asking developer to give us conceptual designs.
No.
Is there anything we need to do more? Because we have the due diligence, we have a lot of data now for developers. Do we have enough to move that down to the front office, so to speak, to look at
I think we'd want to wait for the conceptual designs to get approved before you,
and Bowling is doing that?
Bowler's doing that, yeah,
Bowler's doing the
Yeah.
conceptual design?
yeah,
And that's will come when you get your computer working again.
yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, that will happen.
That's great.
So the designs will happen, and Bowler probably needs 3 weeks to finish what they've,
Okay.
I just needed to get back to them on details of where you wanted things. And also, talking about, they'll do a couple with different number of buildings for the 45 units, so you can have some, I'd like to keep it broad, but if you want to narrow it, let's figure out what that is when we.
I think we've concluded before, we like it broad to give
Yeah.
some,
Yeah.
give them some creativity and give us some options going forward.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
that's what I always try and get communities to do.
Yeah, especially with, this is a pretty big turn of
a lot of
events
options,
to
I think,
have the
yeah.
potential to do double. So I think, yeah, it would be really interesting to see.
Yeah.
Richard, you have a,
First, Mr. Chairman, Richard Waystack, Harwich. 456 Queen Anne Road is the address, the easiest address
okay,
to utilize as according to the assessor's maps. And I would just encourage Laura and the conceptual to be very broad. And there are still some additional opportunities there for the town to obtain other properties in that vicinity that could make it more viable for increased density there. And I think that discussion hasn't stopped. And to go as large as we can in terms of both rental and ownership opportunities, but we cannot minimize the fact that rentals are essential in that location. And we've seen what's happened in the last couple of years, the rentals that are being brought by commercial developers who are doing a wonderful job, but there's still tremendous need for affordable rentals in the community. So I would encourage you to go as broad as you can, and I do have some standing. I was involved in the purchasing of this property, and I think it's just so important. We have such a great opportunity here. We can't fumble the ball on this one. Thank you.
thank you, Richard, and I think we're all in agreement, I think as broad as we can, so. Laura, I guess we'll wait then for the conceptual designs.
Yeah,
And when you get
And-
those, if you can email those to me, then we can maybe meet again in January and,
yes. And I will send you the latest draft of the request for proposals as soon as I can get it finished or uncorrupted. And then, obviously, the concept plans as soon as they come in.
Great.
Great, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Okay.
Thank you all.
I'd only conclude this discussion by saying if when we get that material, we may want to have a special meeting to consider it, so we're
Yeah,
prepared to,
definitely.
because I'm still pressing to go forward as fast as we can. I
Yeah.
don't want to cut any corners, but I also don't want to stop anything, so.
Right.
If that's
Right,
okay
and we-
with everyone, we'll just keep that
I
as
think we're
being-
still on the timeline for a February or March release, which is perfect time for developers.
Right.
So,
Great.
fingers crossed, we'll
Thank
get
I just
there.
don't want us to be the limiting factor. I don't have a high bar, but that's the main one I want to keep track of.
Right, thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
All right, real quick,
Sure.
moving forward, do you want to just refer to the property as 456 Queen Anne?
Yes,
Okay.
let's do that. We'll put that in the minutes as 456 Queen Anne's. That works.
Love it. Easy to remember.
Yeah, 456.
Oh, well, for you. I think I can do that too. We're making good progress. So the next one's the Harwich Fire Association. Joey, you're going to lead the discussion on this, and thank you for the application. We've gotten hard copies. I think, Brianna, we had one or two extras as well, but we'll put it on our website as a minutes for this meeting, because I did email to each of the trust members as soon as I got it last week.
Yeah, if anybody wants a copy, I have one on my computer. Mary, do you want a copy? Yeah. Have it.
She's afraid we're going to charge her for something.
Joe Rigo, Harwich Fire Association. Bruce Young, President of the Harwich Fire Association. I'd just like to acknowledge Tom Evans, the President of Harwich Conservation Trust, part of our
Yes.
partnership here.
Hi.
He's here as well.
Yep. Hi, Tom, again.
So we put together an application, we filled it out to the best of our abilities, and we would love to go over it with you guys. Do you have a copy of it at all? No. Would you like to go over it page
I
by
would.
page, or just question
Sure.
and answer?
I'm just looking at my hard copy here, which I've managed to lose already.
There's an extra.
Okay,
Bob still,
Bob, steal it.
Page by page? Is that,
Yeah, let's do it page by page. Go
Yeah,
through
up to
it.
you guys.
That'll be for us, and it'll be for the audience and public participation as well.
So as discussed, besides the typical information required, we're looking to do 3 one-bedroom apartments. There'd be 1 bedroom, 1 bath. There'll be a common hallway with a laundry. They're gonna be affordable units, 80% AMI. We feel this meets the comprehensive town plan. They're at a little over 4%. They're looking to meet 10% of affordable housing. Adding 3 units in that area, we feel this will help the community. So our site information, as we've discussed before, we're next to the Coldstream project that's going on right now, and that's going to be beautiful. We've started to see from our area that it's looking beautiful. We're in works with the Conservation Trust on creating a beautiful parking lot between the 2 entities there. They're looking for access, and we're looking for general parking for the facility that we're, project in question. History on the building: it was built in 1929, it was finalized, I believe it started in 28. We've obtained 3 special zoning permits, 1 for the first floor for an educational / museum. The second floor, we got permit for the 3 apartments, and the third permit is for the parking. in conjunction with the Conservation Trust.
So the total, excuse me, can we
Sure,
just jump
yeah.
in with questions? The total parking set aside is what?
Ooh. There is a number.
That's comforting.
There's 28 spots, plus 3 handicap, plus 3 for the apartments.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, thank you.
yeah, sorry, I don't have I
That's
didn't
all
have
right.
that on.
And that's been approved by conservation as well.
So another question asked had to do with health. We've been working with a engineer, designing a septic to work for the whole property, for the whole building. That's in the design phase right now. We went through historical to do our historical renovation of the exterior of the building. We got the property registered as a historical property, building in town, and it's opened us up to a lot of awesome avenues, and we've enjoyed that process, and we're going to continue to keep the exterior as historical as we can.
Just in terms of the septic, is there a special advanced innovation septic system that you're looking at, given the proximity to the,
Bob?
We have Moran Engineering looking into that for us.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
What's going to be best for that piece of property where we're so close to the bogs and the wetlands and
Yeah,
the water that runs through that property.
okay. I understand
that's-
there's some incredibly new advanced systems that are in study by the Cape Cod Commission.
That's definitely something we've discussed, and we've talked about working with Moran. And then I believe the water commissioner is a good asset too, if we could consult with him,
Okay,
as I've heard him speak on those
Yeah.
often.
Right.
It's, we're not dodging that one. That's something that's been considered, and we just don't have the information yet. The design phases, they've came out and measured.
Mhm.
I believe they've done a perk test,
They have.
and now what they're doing with their computers, we're not sure yet.
And the key phrase, Bob, is in study, because so far the experimental ones haven't been successful for various reasons. But we'll get there. Whether we'll get there in time for this or not is, I guess, the question.
It's gonna be better than the original septic system.
just as a side note, there's some historic evidence that we had somebody from Harwich who was on the cutting edge of advanced development, and that there were some projects built at the former dump,
At the Fox, it was, yeah.
and it
Fact.
was, it just, hearing that information just blew me away, that this was back in 1980.
Yeah.
So,
Well, when we did the firehouse on Sisson Road there, we have a plant out back for the gray water
Yeah.
that has been using it ever since.
that's
So
fantastic, yeah.
I'm sure that once we get to that phase of the project, we'll probably look for the best suited septic system for that piece of property.
I'm sure you will, and I just thank you for entertaining my questions.
Absolutely.
The conservation section, we met with conservation. They approved our site plan for parking. Infrastructure is something we've been working with the building department and the historical committee. That's just a constant thing, electricity, gas, and water, we've been working on. So our total project for the housing projects is $850,000. We're requesting $450,000 from the trust. You've heard we have an application into CPC, and if we're awarded the $450 from you guys, we'd reduce that amount from our CPC request down to $400,000. So community outreach,
Can I just ask a quick question, just to understand that? So the 350 CPC from 7/1/23, that was already approved, and then just waiting on the 400 CPC?
so the 350 in the pro forma was the historical restoration.
Okay,
That was approved and awarded.
okay.
And the second application we put in for CPC it's for $850 request right now. We look to reduce that with the aid of your trust.
Okay, great, thank you.
And that 350 has already been spent.
Yeah, I figured. Thank
Our
you.
community outreach, besides being there a lot of the days, some of our members there and working and in open arms, touring and talking to people, we've had Facebook interviews, Instagram, social media, Twitter, things for the community to see what we're looking to do, our progress. We've done fundraisers. We're setting up more fundraisers, continually fundraising. And in these fundraisers, we've had many, community interaction. What are you doing? What's this for? And we've developed brochures, some book brochures, some pamphlets. We've used some signage. We have a sign in front of the station down there right now with some explanation. We've designed a website that has a lot of the explanation, and it's been updated with photos and changes. We've tried really hard to make the community aware of our project and us and what we're doing. That's been, in nature, we're social people in our group, so we're going to continue to try to do that. So there's this list of attachments.
That's just a plan.
Okay, that's
Going
just,
forward, yeah.
okay. So after that, it's the estimates, our pro forma, and then just some resume of the people involved in this application. I would assume it's probably a better time for more questions or clarifications if you need it.
Brendan, you want to, probably, go around and give you guys another chance?
Yeah, question, you have amount raised to date, you had the $369,000. That includes the CPC from '23?
No.
No, so that's additional.
Correct.
So the whole project roughly 1.5 and change?
Mm-hmm.
And then on your estimates to date, are these hard quotes from all your subcontractors and vendors, or?
These are a series of quotes and estimates received from, local contractors, yeah.
And the big number, the carpentry number, the 375,000,
Yes,
it seems like a lot's dumping into that. So I would assume you have plaster, interior finish,
correct.
all of that.
Cabinetry, countertops,
Well, bathrooms and vanities and cabinets and so forth.
correct.
And as far as the septic is concerned, you haven't, it seems like it's also another big number, $80,000, but the design is not complete yet?
So it's true, I see where you're going. It's tough to get the estimate for the installation without a design. So we've talked to some of the bigger companies in town, and we said, what would it be like what has it been like for a commercial project like this in your experience? And that's where we got that number from.
Okay. That was my questions.
Thank you. Bob, back to you again.
The insulation number, when I saw that, I wondered if Mass Save is any kind of a resource that you guys are eligible for in new construction.
That's definitely something we can look into. Like septic systems, it sounds like installation got a lot of different avenues. So, talking with one of the insulators, there's spray foam, bat, rock wool, and they can all go together or not go together. So that's something we're gonna look further into to try to get a better price or a better product.
Mhm.
So on Bob, that Mass Save has a bunch of different programs. I don't know how it is for commercial, but when it comes to spray foam, they really don't give you dollars for spray foam.
Yeah.
But if you do a HERS rating, and collectively, they want everything to be all electric.
Mhm.
So there's programs you can do, but you have to hit certain tasks.
Right.
Whether it be car chargers or everything is electric, no gas or anything inside.
Right. Okay.
So there's different programs you can be in.
Mhm.
So, but
I
it gets a
think
little tricky.
that's something that we have to look into, because I think most of the second floor where this is gonna be all electric.
I agree.
So that's something that maybe we can reach out to Mass Save and just check in with them to see if there is a program available that we could help reduce that cost.
Did Jack say you need a HERS rating?
He did not say.
Is he gonna treat it as a renovation?
Yes.
All right.
I'm giving Bob a minute to think here.
Right.
But,
Well, let me just, I see these numbers and they're staggering.
We had the same thought, we had the same feeling.
I'm sure you did. Part of what I think we have a responsibility to do is to have some certainty as to what these numbers are in a hard way before we can authorize the dispensing of any funds. But let me precede that by saying, I love the idea
Yep,
of this partnership with you
yes, yeah.
from an affordable housing point of view. That, I think that's a home run.
Mhm.
But I'd like to figure out some way for us to get some solid assurance as to what these numbers really are.
Claudia?
I wonder, and I'm new to this, so self-admittedly, I wonder if the project was bigger, like much bigger, would we need that level of detail, and it's a question I have. Or is it because there's just so few units that we're asking for more and more detail? But if it was a large project, would we take the estimates, just even for future use of like what I'm supposed to be looking for? But for me, I don't know where we trust the people bringing it to us and their history and their experience with the resumes versus digging in and just trying to learn what we should be looking
So
for.
it's a unique situation because you're doing it yourselves. So for example, if you went to a bank and did a construction loan, you most likely would hire a general contractor and everything would be covered through that. But because you're doing it yourself, most banks would want you to get quotes and want you to get 3 if you're doing it yourself. And, go through each one, but you'd have to get 3 quotes most likely. I mean, I don't think we're gonna be asking for that, but it would be nice to see all the quotes. I think you're a little short on the dollars, only when it pertains to septic design. So I think you need a little bit more money than you're asking us for. And I probably would be fine with that, but I think you're missing a contingency that would have to sit over the septic design and install, whether that's 20,000, 30,000, some kind of contingency to go along. You should have that floating as a number. But it would be nice to see, you can definitely get hard quotes for insulation, plumbing, all your EMPs, HVAC, plumbing, electrical. You should be able to get fixed quotes. And I think, I looked at the numbers, just like what you did outside, you had enough dollars to finish the outside. It looks amazing. I think that next phase, you're looking to get the money from us. I want to make sure you can complete it. So if we get you to sheetrock, then that would be really good. And that number is around I did it real quick, it's 476. So your request is close. I just think, there's a couple items like maybe the permit can be waived with the town. You can talk with the building department, they'll direct you to the town administrator for waiving that fee. There's a possibility there. But the big number, that 375, the carpentry, I know you threw a dart at that, but that's the plaster running all the way through. So, and the appliances as well, but everything else, I think it would be interesting for us to be involved in this, so.
17 2x4s, $100,
I know, it's expensive,
so.
yeah.
You have a colleague that wishes to speak.
Mr. Chairman, Norm Clark, Fire Chief retired. I'm managing this project, and I'm there pretty much every day trying to get this thing accomplished. To your question, we have very specific plumbing and heating and ventilation from Whiteley. It's very detailed to every room. We have that for you. Summit Insulation has given us a very detailed insulation quote. It spells out exactly what they're using, where they're using, our values. So I'm comfortable that we've done that for you.
Okay, great.
Septic system was a general on-site estimate by Robert Arrow Company, so I'm comfortable with that. We're going through the engineering phase now. I would fully intend to reach out to Sean O'Brien, the health director at the Barnstable County, and to see if we would qualify for any research projects with septic systems and some grant help with that. To your point on the expenses, yeah, it's very expensive. We would like to find grants. Mary Anderson is going to help us look for grants, but what we are giving you is what we know, not what we hope for. So we would hate to come in here and ask you for X amount of dollars saying, well, we think we're going to raise this, or we think someone's going to give us this. We don't know. What we do know is what the specific bids have shown us, and we will continue for sheet rock and plastering. We reached out, we just haven't had the gentleman come in to do that. And the nice thing about this, not which my experience is through 30B, is we don't have to do that. I'm very opinionated on using local folks, Howard contractors if we can, and we've been very good. John Domo stepped up and helped us with the outside of the building, which came out beautiful. He went far above and beyond what he was really asked to do, and the proof is in the pudding there. We've done everything we were asked to do with the first round of CPC, and going forward, we want to give you as much detailed information as possible. But what we want to make sure we do is give you facts and figures now that are hard. If we can reduce that, trust me, we absolutely want to reduce everything we can. But facts right now they're high. But those are the firm numbers.
Okay.
I was just trying to create phases, so if our 450 gets you to a certain point, what does that number really look at? So when I took it, the insulate, to get you to sheet rock, I'll even
We're
include.
just below 4.
Yeah, you're, with a $20,000 contingency, well, let's say we allocate that to plaster, which is a low number for that space. You're at 476, so you're right where you need to be if you're looking for 450. I just think it would be safe to have a contingency number in there as well.
Yeah.
And, but create a phase, so when you go to CPC, maybe the phase is the finish. Because you do a lot of work yourself, so when you get to the interior space, you're gonna be more hands-on. But when it comes to all the MEPs, you have to have the subs do that work.
We have not figured in the sweat equity into the project yet,
Yeah.
which is considerable.
Right.
So as far as
That would be
the
bio savings for you.
the construction figures, as far as that goes, that was done with consultation with John Domos from Howard. He gave us those numbers. Joe Rigo's done an outstanding job here, jumping into something. We're pretty good about, putting out fires and helping you at your car crashes. Renovating old fire stations is something we're learning as we go. First phase, we learned. We've learned a lot. So this second phase, for the Housing Trust and further CPC, we want to be more specific, right to the dollar on what we know it's going to cost us. If we can reduce that through grants, through gifts, or whatever, we will. But right now, we don't have that. We don't have any of that money.
That's why I'm trying to get you through the next phase, so let's call it phase 2. Phase 1's the exterior, this will get you to finish work, and then, you have another 7-8 months to figure that out, because this money.
So are you asking for the detailed bids, which we'd be happy to give
I
you?
would love to see those, yeah.
We absolutely can do that.
Yeah.
Would you like more of a phased schedule of the project, what we anticipate?
I wouldn't need a schedule, I would just like to see the quotes.
I like the phase, because I don't have the expertise to look at the quotes that much, but the phase,
They got that on this rough phase,
and that's my point.
But they don't have the quotes.
they don't have the updated quotes.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
not
get you the
gonna pretend.
updated quotes.
Yeah.
And I also think at some point, if we can do this in the correct way, I would love to have the committee come on site and take a look at where we are.
and-
That's where we can have some really great discussions.
And that's gonna be part of our, before we end this, we'll pick a date. Both Bruce and Joe have offered to give us a tour of the site, we'll do that.
Love to have you come down and take a look.
Yeah.
Thank you.
To build on the discussion, one thing I was missing in this is that we've already seen in other building projects is a contingency fund. And I would like to see that as being part of your budget, so that we can be sure it gets completed. Because that may, if we stick with the number you've given us, that may take more from CPC, but it gives us assurance that it's gonna be completed.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
We're scared enough asking for 450,000, never 475, so
Yeah.
we're trying to get our numbers as close to
Well,
what it's gonna
we
cost
hope we don't
us.
use the contingency too, but I would like to, I don't
Yeah.
want,
like I said, if you have an
Understood.
unknown, that's what it's for. So for
Understood.
septic right now, that would be a great spot to have a contingency. We're not saying you're gonna put solar panels or add. It's really at the discretion of the GC to, fill any unknowns. I mean, obviously, you know the building, it's gutted, you can see it. But, if you came to us and you had some line items that didn't have a contingency or didn't have a solid quote, it'd be nice to know that.
I'm just saying, my experience, good or bad with the town, is I think every building project, we've always had a contingency in there.
Yeah.
Richard, you want to speak?
Just speaking to the project manager, if the Affordable Housing Trust wants to throw another $25,000 in a contingency fund, I'm sure that the Howard Fire Association will willingly accept it.
I was actually hoping CPC would throw in some more money for contingency fund.
I just want to make sure you guys can
We'll
get
sort that
to
out.
plaster.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a good goal for the next phase. You get to plaster.
that'd be
That's
great.
your number. So get that plaster number, and then you come up with a real budget. And then if the health department, finally approves the design, well, your engineer gets the design together, then you have a really solid number.
Yeah.
But I think you're gonna be a little bit more north than 450, and that's something we can definitely talk about, so.
Okay.
This is a small change in the scheme of things, but I don't see a number in there for, I'll call, lack of another term, administration. Funding the lottery that we know that's gonna have to take place. I'm not sure what other administrative activities. I need to know more on that, but we'll have to do that.
Well, I can tell you exactly what that cost of administration is. Zero. This is a real
You wanna
community
expand on
project.
that?
What's that?
You want to expand on that?
I'm not charging a dime. I'm managing the project with a great bunch of folks. There's a lot of interest, and this is new to us, but we are mission-orientated, and, we don't intend to fail. So
Well, my point, excuse me, Norm, I get that. My point is I appreciate that. And I think you said we're learning, and we're all trying to learn as well. I have no idea myself. Are there legal procedures you have to follow to do a lottery according to the state code? I know you guys can do that. I just don't know the mechanism.
Well,
I'll throw that out. I don't know.
Well, let me just brief you on that as well. I mean, it's clear that, we're going to need some external help now and going forward, so it would be a management company. We're in discussions with Davenport Realty now to help us manage this.
That answers my question. I just want to be sure.
Yep, and
I know that
Brianna
people. I just
Brianna
don't know
Powell has really kept us up to date on the rules and regulations. And we also have attorneys, Kroll, and the HCT attorney also has guided us through this. So I'm pretty comfortable I'm very comfortable that we're following policy and procedure on this project.
Okay.
So we have administrative numbers. They are based on the rent per unit, and so they're not super exact. I can put them down as estimates and perform our
I
some
just
sort.
want to sure they're
They won't
correct.
be a part of the money requested from you guys or CPC. That'll be more our operational funding, avenue.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Last question on the permit. On the plans you submitted, you have the 2 one-bedrooms and then 1 two-bedroom. You plan to modify that, or?
Yes,
It's gonna be
right now
three
it's 3 one-bedroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll make the modification, okay.
Tom, you wish to speak?
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I guess technically, I may not have official standing because this is a request to you from the Harwich Fire Association.
But you're public, Tom. You can
but-
speak anyway.
Thank you. I'm president of the of the volunteer Harwich Conservation Trust Board of Trustees. And Mike Locke, our executive director, would be here, but he's at another meeting on another planning issue, so I'm filling in for Michael. And I just want to comment briefly, if I may, on I guess the larger relationship of HCT to the Harwich Fire Association. As you know, we've been in land and water conservation business for a long time. This partnership with Harwich Fire Association has been one of the most rewarding that, from our perspective, we could have imagined. In another life, I supervised probably 150,000 square feet of commercial level construction. I have chaired hundreds of meetings with architects, with engineers, with general contractors, with subcontractors to make sure we got projects right. This is a very different scale. You're dealing with a benevolent fire association that has just taken on the biggest project of its existence, and they are doing the most remarkable job in crossing the T's, dotting the I's, anticipating the issues. They are, speaking to you as a citizen, of Harwich. If the CPC and the town want to see value for the dollar, man, are they getting this in this project. I mean, think about it. CPC awarded $350,000 in May, and the project was completed at the end of August, using local contractors, participating in the local economy. It was fabulous. Even now, while HFA is making application to CPC and to the Housing Trust, if they get $100 in cash, they go out and get their 17 2x4s, and the framing is already in place, a lot of it. I mean, they're not waiting for a public handout. They are so committed to getting this job done. From my point of view as a citizen, they deserve a public handout because they've worked hard to earn it, and they've already demonstrated that they're going to deliver a really fine project. I mean, HFA and HCT are in this together. We are, at the moment, co-owners of this property. And we need the parking for the Coldbrook Eco Restoration. They actually need parking for their apartments. So there's a piece of that we share intimately with them. But the reality is we're both working as organizations to provide a jewel in Harwich Port. I mean, this has been kind of an overgrown bog and a deteriorating fire station. And when this project is over, the town is going to look upon this and say, what an asset. And it's been a pleasure for HCT to be working with HFA on this. And if there's any organization that is going to get this done with value for the dollar, I think it's HFA.
Thank you, Tom, and just a follow-up comment. I appreciate that. We've had, Mr. Wilbur here talk to us, a couple months ago now. But this is, more broadly speaking, in my tenure in town, there's been a conflict between open space and housing that seems to have gone on forever. And we're starting to breach that gap and decide, I hope, as a community, that we can work together. And this is an example of that. And I'm hoping we continue these broader discussions that we can, it's not either or, it's how do we do both to preserve what land is where it's appropriate and build where it's appropriate. So this is a picture of how this can happen. And it's a start, I hope.
Yeah, yes, that's one of the reasons we support it. We also enjoyed sponsoring the meeting a couple of months ago where the Stowe Conservation Trust talked about their project with, was it Stowe?
Yeah.
Talked about
Thank
their
you. I forgot
project
to.
with the town. And so, yes, we're all in this together. And we recognize that, and I just think this is a great way to start. You'll have apartments done by the end of the year if we can pull this all together, so, thank you.
End of this year?
2024.
Well, I will say they're smart not to ask me to pick up a hammer.
Yeah.
We'll go from there.
This guy's really good with a hammer.
Norm, I believe that.
Norm,
A
yeah.
sledgehammer, probably. Sorry.
Seen it.
He's good with that as well.
Larry, can I just say one more thing?
Yeah,
I
of
think
course.
each time you folks have been here, we've taken a step forward, another step forward, and another step forward. I think we're really close, and I think it's one more step, and it's no negative view on you and on your work or on the potential. It's a matter of our responsibility as a trust. And if we can get the information that we've talked about, I feel like we're almost home.
I agree.
Well said.
We also want to make sure that we give you the best product for the dollar as well. And it's not something that we want to skimp on either.
Of course.
Any other questions? Because I'm going to finish this discussion with a comment. And that is, we talk about we're all learning. Well, one thing that I'm learning myself, and I've asked for help from Joel Megan in town, is I'm not clear right now what the next step is. If we approve it, which obviously we're going to at some point, unless something crazy happens, And then I've asked them to look into how do we actually transmit the money? Is it a grant process? Do we form a contract? I've been looking around, there are several mechanisms, maybe Kathy Green to CPC, I'm not sure how you handle that as well. But, so what I'm suggesting is that we'll have another meeting in, I don't know, either just before or just after Christmas. Well, I think I'll have information back of what the mechanics are of actually transmitting the funds, assuming we're going to approve it. And that's a gap I'm trying to follow up now that, quite frankly, I don't have that information, and it's above my, they didn't teach that in chemistry classes I took. But if we could do that and schedule again, because I think that's the final, I'm sure you'll get the information we ask. I'm not concerned about that, and then we can vote on it as a trust. But then my concern is, okay, what actually is the mechanics of taking the next step? My brief discussion this morning is it looks like it's probably a grant is the easiest way to do that, to transmit the money. Kathy, you have any comment on that, or from your CPC experience? I'm sorry. Well, no, I'm not. I'm not sorry to put you on the spot. You're here.
Kathy Green, Harwich, CPC, and Rios. You can establish a grant, an agreement, but I think that you have the right just to outright,
We
give
can
them the
approve it
money.
and outright do it. I just want to be sure I want to be sure we're covered, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a big deal, but I think we can do that. And whether the contract is give you the money or a grant, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I will say that if the Affordable Housing Trust decides to support this project, the timing, would benefit them because you can give them the money now to move forward and, get 100% towards whatever phase, you're talking about. Whereas they would have to wait for the Community Preservation Act funding, if it was approved at town meeting, as you know, until after May, and then the funds wouldn't be released until July 1st. So that gives them the opportunity to move forward if they can get some of the partial funding now.
Thank you, Kathy.
That's important.
That is important.
Thank you.
From my perspective, then, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, it sounds like you have a lot of this or all of this, so do you have a sense of how long it would take you to get that, just the detailed quotes back to us, and then we could maybe talk about if we can meet again, or how that looks?
We could probably have that to you by the end of the week at the latest.
From what I hear, I don't think that's a limiting factor. I think the limiting factor is to get, I still would like to get be sure we're comfortable with the mechanism. There's a grant.
Yeah,
I'm sure, Kathy, you're right, we just do it, but then how we do that.
sounds like I have a little homework and you have a little homework.
And
We can get
and
on whatever
I think
agenda
we can do
needed.
that.
That's on
I'm
us.
hoping we can, this is the 11th, 2 weeks from today, we can have a short meeting, and by that time.
That's Christmas.
Christmas? That is
I
a
don't think I'll
problem.
be here, Larry, but if you want to come and open up,
Okay, after. Okay,
Next scheduled meeting is appropriate, and Brianna's been very good at letting us know
okay.
when things
And by
are.
that point, we'll know, I know Brianna's working on this too, we'll know what the mechanism is. I just want to be sure when we're doing, transmitting the money, that we're covered.
Yep.
I don't think it's a big deal, but let's just do it, and that way there'll be no second guessing.
yeah, I think the January 8th meeting would be okay.
We could do it, and then hopefully
It's
by
the
that point,
holidays, I don't,
we can
enough
get the
going on.
money, and then we can get you the money in January so you can get going, or keep going.
Perfect.
Awesome.
We don't need I don't think we need a vote or anything now, we can just.
You could
do
write a
that.
check and we could just reimburse you.
We're good for it.
Right?
Yeah, I'm good for it.
Wink, wink.
Want to just go over some of the things we're looking for real quick? Just, I know we said a lot.
Yep, so my homework is definitely look into the septic design. The parking lot question, we can confirm that, but I think you were pretty spot
Actually, the
on.
plan's on the permit, I could see it.
Okay.
So it's there.
We're gonna look into Mass Save, specifically, well, we're looking for any avenue they can help us. I've contacted them before for other projects, so I see what they can do for us. I could put together the quotes and estimates for you guys.
Added contingency.
The second
Yeah,
item
yeah,
here
so
is add a
let's see.
contingency fund budget item.
Get-
We're
get a-
gonna
oh, good.
discuss the permit waiver with the town possibly. I have the administration numbers, but I'm gonna omit submitting any of that to you guys, because it's not gonna really involve the 450 or money from you.
Right. Fair enough.
And then we're gonna work on changing the permit to the final, the more final plan we have with the 3 one-bedrooms, get rid of the 2-bedroom.
And then just to define the next phase, and then update the permit, like you said.
Yeah.
And Mass Save dollars, just so you know, it could take anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks after the project is complete to get,
Yeah.
and you probably would have to do, some kind of HERS rating as well, and there's a process to it, and there's a company that will come out and do all that work for you, but you have to pay for it, but there might be some benefit in the refund, so something
Yeah.
to think about.
Yeah, I believe they might have to do an audit, and I don't know what they're gonna see. They're not gonna see much in our project.
Right, you've already started it, but there are different programs, it's
Yeah.
definitely something to look into.
Final topic then is they've graciously invited us to tour the building,
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
and I haven't had a chance to do that yet. I know I marched around in a bit of mud this past week to see outside. Thank you, Tom, for that. This would be more pleasant than be inside.
It's just be cold.
Yeah.
When can you guys do that? We're pretty much
Next Monday at 1
Yeah.
o'clock?
I think
Monday
next
at 1,
Monday.
does that work?
Sure.
Brenda's been through it several times.
Yeah, I've been there, I can visit again.
That'd be good.
Monday at 1.
December 18th?
One, we'll meet at the firehouse, the old firehouse, and have a chance to tour it. Does that work for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, Kathy, you want to join us at that time? Have you been through it? Okay, good. Elaine, have you been, we get the recreation and open space? You want, 1 o'clock Monday if you want to join.
We can extend the invitation out to some of the other committees and groups in town.
I'll do that, yes, please.
I would do that. I'll
That'd
take
be
care of that.
perfect. Extend it out to more people, and we'll find a meeting then. So,
More the merrier.
Perfect.
Bring your hard hat.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
thank
So
you.
much.
We're
Thank you.
getting there. Now, we tipped the agenda upside down because I wanted to give Jen a chance to start the meeting. We do have 3 minutes that Brianna included in your packet. If there's any, I can accept them, a motion all at once if that's okay, or if you have comments, we'll take those.
On the minutes?
Yeah, on the minutes.
Yeah, motion to approve minutes from October 23rd, November 6th, and November 20th of 2023.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we've covered all 3 there.
Yep.
And Brianna, you're on the agenda with public comment?
Just have a quick event reminder, Brianna Powell, Housing Advocate. So Wednesday, the 13th, we're doing a housing resource and options fair jointly with CDP's Lower Cape ADU Resource Center. So there'll be a workshop about anyone wanting to learn more about ADUs, and then participating organizations will be Lower Cape Housing and ADU Resource Center, Hetch, which I can never say the word correctly, but Harwich
Ecumenical?
Thank you. It just like doesn't stick. Resource Center, Habitat for Humanity, Backyard ADUs, which is a company off Cape, the Cooperative Bank of Cape Cod, and Homeless Prevention Council, and a few more. So that's 5:30 to 7:30 at the 204 building on Wednesday. And then my other update, I think Larry already gave, Erin Perry from
Okay.
Cape Cod Commission, yeah. But I did wanted to let you know that they've been working with all of the towns. So Joe and I have met with them. We've seen their almost finished product, and it looks great. So Erin will be here next month, yeah.
The important part of that comment is that the Cape Cod Commission has asked for input from the towns,
They have, yep.
and you guys have provided that, so they're not, hopefully, they are paying attention to us.
And they've had stakeholder meetings as well, and I know that Brendan was able to come to one of them. I think it was like in the summer, and Liz has been at them.
Yep.
Yep. So, anyways, that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Liz, you wish to, any further comments from the Housing Committee?
comments from the Housing Committee, as there isn't one yet. But just from the county, we really are. The county is really focusing on housing now, starting to hand out its ARPA grants, and really focused on it. And as you know, I sit there all the time going, housing, housing, housing. So between the commission almost finishing their report, you can go on the commission website right now and already get a ton of information about housing. And then there's other things that were presented at the One Cape Summit in August, my favorite time of the year. And I've been working, there's a zoning atlas out there that's hopefully coming to Massachusetts soon, but it's a great example of other options out there. And I'm working with people, not just as a citizen of Harwich, to find sources to get over 80% AMI funding, since that's part of the workforce problem.
Liz, do you know if, I know the One Cape Summit, at least the day I was there, there were a lot of interesting presentations. And I think I understood that those would end up on the website.
They're on the commission website.
Are they on the commission website? I just
Yeah.
have not seen them?
Yeah,
Okay.
go to the commission, Google One Cape. I mean, I think, or not Google, but, search.
Cape Cod Commission, you go to the One Cape Summit. and they'll
Yeah,
be
because
there.
I've looked up a couple of
Okay.
things through there. I will say,
did too, really,
it's
and we're
not
up-
my, it's not, I had sometimes have problems getting to a specific thing. It takes a while to go down, level by level until you finally get to the thing you want. But I know it's there.
Okay, thank you.
So, any other questions? Good to see you.
Thanks, Liz.
Anyone else for public comments? Any additional comments? If not, we've completed our agenda, believe it or not.
Yay.
I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I was gonna say, no, I second. A second? We did. We did that. We were efficient, Elaine. We did one motion. Bob's the
Moved
second.
in second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you again.
Time is 2:22.
And we started at 1:01. I wrote that down. Bob,
Bob?